this video, I am going to try to demonstrate for you guys how to do your facial features. But for the most part, and little special details, but for the most part, you're going to have to do a lot of problem solving on your own in terms of what it is that you need for your figure. Now, what I'm noticing is that my camera isn't really picking up the nose that I put on the sculpture, on my sculpture, and the one eye and the mouth, but I hope that you can kind of see that it is there. The way that I built the nose and the mouth was by taking pieces of paper, really small pieces of paper, and making them super malleable by balling them up and then opening it up and reballing it back down. Now, this is going to be slightly tedious, but I think you guys are up for the challenge because your work so far has been amazing. But just keep making that paper really, really soft so that you can kind of manipulate it into the shapes that you're needing. So when I was ready to make the nose, I took my paper and first I pulled out the bridge of the nose, you know, the long part of our noses. And then I took the bottoms and scrunched up what would be like nostrils. And it's not going to look perfect at all. It just needs to be the right kind of shape. If you see that. And then I took really small pieces of tape and tried to shape what I had into some sort of nose shape. So you're going to just kind of build it in your hands, kind of like what you would do with clay. And all of this in the back, I'm going to cut off later. So that's why I said this is going to be about a lot of problem solving on your part, because everybody needs something slightly different at this point. And even when you get to building hair or accessories or whatever little pieces you're going to need for your sculpture, you're going to probably need to more so think those things out based on what it is that you're trying to do. So you see now I have more of a little bitty nose in my hands. On the back side, I'm just going to cut all this extra off. Keep shaping it into what I want. And then from there, I would take this and tape it onto my figure. So when I taped this nose onto the figure, I used tons and tons of tiny little skinny pieces of tape. So I took like a piece like this and then cut off small pieces like that to tape it onto the face. Because remember, the smaller the pieces are, the skinnier, the smoother than your pieces will be. So small, skinny pieces like this, and then you tape them onto your figure where it goes. For the mouth, I did the same thing. I took a piece of paper, made it really malleable, and then I just taped it on to the sculpture. If you see the little profile of it. Same thing for the mouth. The eyes are a different little bit of a task. And I have one eye made. Let me get in the camera. I have one eye made. And it's kind of like the way that you build an eye in clay. I took a small rectangle. Like that. That's probably about all that you'll need. This is about, it's like an inch long, a little bit more than an inch long. You're not even going to need all of that. And then I wrapped this piece in tape. This is how I made the belt on my figure too that you saw in the pants video. I'm just going to wrap that up in the tape. So this is going to be the top and the bottom eyelid for my piece. For the eyeball, I can just take same thing like this, whatever was left out of that. I just took some pieces of tape and made a little ball and like scrunched it up for the eyeball. It doesn't need to be big at all because your figures are pretty small unless the eyeballs are bigger, and that's going to sit on the inside of the eyelid. So for the bottom eyelid, take a little piece and just snip that off. You're going to need 2 of those. Make them slightly longer than you need, and you'll see why later. On your figure, where the eyes go, you can kind of like push it back a little bit, but you're going to need small pieces of tape here that you have ready. And I'm going to do the bottom lid first. I'm going to take that and curve it. And then take this tape and put it on the bottom of the eyelid, like that. And then I'm going to take this and just tape it on right where the bottom eyelid would go on my figure. And you want to tape it on so there's a little curve to it that's sticking out from the body. So this eyelid is actually can move right now, and it's just sitting there on a curve. Take your eyeball and just set it inside. Actually, my eyeball needs to be bigger. Make a bigger eyeball. You see, I just put tape on it to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to set it on the inside of that eyelid, like that. It's just sitting inside of there. And then the other eyelid piece that I have, this might not even be long enough, but I'm going to make it work. I'm going to curve it too. Take a piece of tape, tape it on. And then I'm going to tape this so that it holds in the eyeball that I put in, and it works as an eyelid on top of the eye. So my piece is a little too small, but it's okay. I'm going to make this work because I'm going to use tape to close the eyeball up, to close the eye up. So I have that there, and so now that eye is in place. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take really small pieces of tape and tape like the corners of the eyes down and close that up on this side. And do the same thing on the opposite side as well. So I'm going to take a small piece of tape and tape that there. And then I would just continue using really tiny, tiny pieces of tape to get everything shaped the way that I would like it for my eyeballs, for my eye. I'm going to use this piece to kind of close that in on that side. So you see how I have an eye now on that side. So now I have 2 eyes. If you have a different way that you think that you can build yours, of course you can build your eyes in a different way. So you see now I have eyes, I have nose, and then hair. It depends on what your figure needs. You can take the tape and curl it, or make a piece that would be like a wig and put that on top of your head. Any other small details, I made these buttons on the vest the same way I did the eyelids, by taking a piece of paper that was a rectangle, covering it in tape, and then cutting it, and then I just glued them on with regular Elmer's glue. I made a little pocket by taking a piece of paper, covering it in tape, and then I glued it on and then taped it on the bottom where it would be sealed. So there's lots of details that you guys might want to make just to finish up your pieces. And from here, you're going to have to kind of problem solve what else is it that you need to do. On my other figure, I have ears, and I'll put ears on this guy too. Same thing, take a piece of tape, cut out the shape that I need, and then tape it on to the figure. Let me know what specific questions you have, and as you start to finish up your pieces, put a face on your piece and then figure out what other kind of details you need and how you can build them using paper and tape.